So yeah, let's see. What else do we want to touch on here?
Oh, we got plenty.
Yeah, do you want to talk about Don't Starve Together?
Yeah, we could touch on that a little bit.
That's definitely one of those games where when I first saw it, I knew that there were going to be certain people who I play games with on a regular basis who were going to absolutely love it and adore it. And that definitely has proven to be the case. But it's also one of those games for me that while I definitely respect it and can clearly see the amount of work that's been put into it, I'm not sure that it's a game that really speaks to me personally in the way that I was perhaps hoping that it might. It's one of those things where I talk sometimes about the idea of mood games, where it's like a game that you get into because you're in a particular state of mind or you want a particular challenge or a particular experience. And I think for me, that might be one of those games that just is a mood game where I just have to be in the right state of mind to just jump into it and really enjoy it properly.
Crafting and survival games at large, I have to be in a particular mood to play now these days. And I think it's because me and you and the work that we put in on the safe zone probably colored it that way, or probably sort of programmed me into that way, because I feel like the work that we were doing and the rate that we were covering all of these survivor games as soon as DayZ mod hit its peak and like everybody else wanted to try and make one of their own, it sort of hit a almost like a saturation point.
Mm-hmm.
And so for me, that's why I need to be in a very particular mood if I'm going to do that now. Because I feel like I've just had too much time, and there's so many of them that sort of just do the same sort of thing that it's hard to
Get enthusiastic about another one.
yeah.
Yeah, I definitely feel that. Although there are some things about Don't Starve Together that I really do like. And I think that's maybe the next thing I want to touch on is maybe focusing a little bit on the things that I do think are really cool about the game. One thing for sure is I absolutely love the way they do controller support in that game, because playing that game with a controller is quite satisfying. I think they've done a really good job of setting up the controls in such a way where you don't feel like you're at any sort of disadvantage playing it with a controller. And in some cases, I actually feel like the controller gives you an advantage for combat purposes in particular. I feel like playing with the controller is actually a lot smoother and more effective than I imagine it probably is with the mouse and keyboard. You're pretty much playing that game exclusively with mouse and keyboard, right?
Yep. And the advantages and disadvantages that I've sort of encountered doing that. As somebody who is, as I've said before, a running gunner, I like to move quite a bit, but unfortunately it's not very good in Don't Starve Together, only because when you first start out in the game, you don't have really any sense of direction. And so what I was doing when we first started playing was I was just sort of moving around my... Are you serious? Anyways, I was moving around my map, and I was shifting perspectives of my guy, like basically just turning the camera around, because you can do that with, I believe it's Q and E. But as I was doing that, and as we sort of traveled away from one another, we got lost. And so anytime VT would give a call out where it's just like, I am southeast on the quarter of this map, I couldn't find him because, well, I was moving around my character so much, and it's like when you look at your map and you're moving the camera around, the camera moves with your map. And so it doesn't just like stay in one direction, it moves whichever direction and stays in whichever direction you have the camera put onto. Which was not very good for me, again, because I kept messing with my perspectives as I was moving in a certain direction. And so we would get lost quite easily, and I couldn't really regroup as easily.
Yeah. I think whenever you get to a point where you have more than one landmark exposed, you get to those points where certain things pop up because you explore the world and certain things pop up as indicators on the map as a result. Once you have a couple of points of interest where you can say, okay, rotate your view so that the sign is to the right of the portal or something like that, then you can get to a point where you can kind of come to some sort of consensus about which way is up. But until you reach that point, when the only thing that's marked on your map is the portal that you've spawned out of, I think that's where it gets really tricky to try to coordinate with each other. Like you say, if you do split up to get back to each other. The other thing about that whole experience of playing that game, and I feel like this is a common thread that pretty much everybody I've talked to who's played that game kind of reiterates when we discuss it, is the idea that that is not a merciful game by any stretch. It's one of those sorts of games that if you make any sort of mistake or have any kind of bad judgment or do any sort of thing at all that's questionable or out of line or risky, and it doesn't pay off or something goes badly, you most likely are going to end up dead as a result.
Yeah, the game does not handle you with kid gloves whatsoever. There's no tutorial, there's nothing. You've got to learn everything about that game just through the experience. Which I can honestly, I could give props for. It's equally frustrating as it is impressive that they were. I feel like they had the ambition and sort of the determination to even go with a design decision like that. Since the game is just doing nothing but surviving, you want to basically let the player discover all the ways that there is to survive. And also die, because there are many ways to do that, as I've discovered many times from playing it.
The thing about that game that keeps me coming back to it is that every time I play it, I get a little bit further and I learn a little bit more. But the thing is, I've gotten to the point now where it takes me a couple of hours of play to get to the point where I'm learning something new or I'm getting further than I did the time before. And that requires me to be on my A game and not make any mistakes for those first couple of hours. So each time I go in and I get a little further and I get a little deeper into the game, the commitment to play at that level and play it that well and get to that next level of knowledge or that next level of experience is just that much harder. So I feel like the wall to me experiencing the later stages of that game is just getting higher and higher and higher and steeper and steeper and steeper with each subsequent playthrough, which is disincentivizing me to want to try to surmount that. But I still really like the game. I still think it's really well done and well designed and well executed and everything, but it's that fact of what it is like to actually play the game is a big part of what has made it so that I have to be in a particular mood to want to make that investment and want to play it at that level to try to get to that next echelon of experience with it.
Oh, sure. Because it is, again, so geared on the trial and error and hardcore, no tutorial, no kid gloves. You have to figure out all the ways in order to survive, or the game just mercilessly, I should say, punishes you for not knowing whatever aspect of the game ends up killing you.
If you're looking for a co-op game, if you like survival crafting games, if you like things done in a top-down perspective, if you have people, at least one other person who you want to play that game with and experience it together, I think you could do a lot worse than that game. I think that game has a lot of good, positive things going for it, even though I personally have gotten to a point with it where it's more of a mood game. I could absolutely see if somebody were to play that game as a my first survival game, how they could get deeply invested in it and deeply into it and super psyched about it and just want to go ham with it.
As we have many people who do.
Indeed. Indeed. Some of our friends we probably won't see for a couple of months, the way things are going. I kid.
So I'm pretty sure I win neutral rolls.
Yeah, that's one of your things as the bounty hunter, isn't it?
Oh, yep.
Yeah.
Alright, so now I can finally I can drink her blood, because I think that was a warlock quest I picked up.
Yes.
Do I still complete it? No, because she saved herself.
Now, did she lose that follower for saving herself? Is that how that worked?
Did.
Okay, so she can't do that again.
Yeah, it just prevented me from completing the quest there. That's vexing. But she kind of dug herself into a hole because now she went into the city, which I was actually going to go into anyways because I have tons of moolah.
Very nice.
Although, I don't know if I really necessarily want to go in yet. Let me see if I can get a spell. That actually comes in handy.
You know, it's really funny because it's been a while since we've tried to do something like this. I've been reminded constantly throughout this whole game that we've been playing just how difficult it is to play this game and talk about something else at the same time.
Oh, I messed up real bad a couple of times because I wasn't paying attention to what I was doing. Like I thought I had enough for 2 points of strength when I didn't, because it was only 12 points, but I burned all the trophies anyways, and only after the fact was I like, yeah, I messed up there, but it's like I'm going to just keep rolling with the punches.
Yeah, so by the way, if anybody happens to notice any of these mistakes that we are making and is wondering what's up with that, A, we're a bit rusty, and B, it's really hard to play this game and talk about something else at the same time.
I feel like that's true. We haven't played this game in quite some time, really. It's been a very long time since we've played like a proper game beyond what we're doing here.
Yeah, absolutely.
I actually think I'm going to try and pull a power move here.
Ooh.
Okay. Oh, crap. Yeah, I forgot it ended my turn. Basically, I'm going to travel across the river and fight the Miser Dragon.
Oh, man. Good luck with that. Hey, lady.
Well, my strength is...
What are you doing? Oh. That's not cool.
Although you have some good strength. Oh, you could easily drink the dragon's blood.
Yeah, I think that's happening.
Very nice. She's been on a downward spiral ever since she lost her warhorse.
We'll just let that continue.
Nice.
Woohoo! Glad I did that. Ah, man.
Oh, I don't blame you.
I mean, she attacked me. Everybody saw it. I got it on my cell phone. She totally attacked me.
clear as crystal as day. Self-defense.
Right?
I saw the whole thing, officer.
Nice. That's what I need. Just a little bit of backup. All right, I'm feeling pretty confident about a Highlands run with these stats.
Well, if I could do it with 3 craft, I have no doubt that you could probably roll through it with more balanced stats than me. Alright, so let's see how this works. Hello, Miso Dragon. No. Going with Rage Talon.
If I could do a Scrooge McDuck voice, I would have totally said hello to you as the Miser Dragon, but I really don't know. I don't have a good Scrooge McDuck voice.
Neither do I. I wish I did. I just keep getting more gold.
Man, you better spend some of that before the Raiders or the Fool's Gold or some of that other nonsense comes up.
Yeah. Alright, now this is 14, right? 6 plus 8, if I can remember how to count that high.
Math is hard, but yes, that is 14.
Ah, there we go. Yeah, I mean, I have 17 gold. It's not even counting the couple trinkets I have on me as well.
All right, we're going for it. It's happening.
YOLO? Oh. Very nice.
Ooh. 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 Very interesting.
2. Oops. Missed my next turn. No. Well, I gained my fate right back.
Hooray!
I'll take it.
Now that we've taken a moment to kind of regroup and remind ourselves what we're actually trying to do here, let's talk about something simple and fun. Let's talk about golf with friends.
Ah, golf with friends.
That game's pretty fun.
It just needs more courses at this point. I feel like the physics of it are pretty good.
For those of you who aren't aware, Golf with Friends is a little miniature golf game that's currently available on Steam Early Access that you can play with your friends. It's one of those things where I wish they would just kind of hurry up and release more courses for it, because the 2 that are there are fine, but it's one of those things where once you play through them a couple of times, you're just like, man, I wish I had some more choices here. Evasion sounds pretty good. Blizzard sounds not so good.
Nah. But yeah, you could choose the color of your ball. I like
There's some mutators where you can mess with gravity and stuff like that, which is definitely fun. Like, I guess that's one thing that we haven't done, is to go back and play those first 2 courses with some of the mutators turned on. Like, you can change the shape of the ball and stuff, like make it into an egg or a square or like other weird stuff like that.
Now that could be fun.
I feel like there's maybe some more potential in there. It's funny, we talk a lot about content in games, how important it is to have enough content in the game so that you can cycle through or rotate through things and not have to play the same level over and over again, have the same experience over and over again. I feel like for me, when I think about a game like Golf with Friends, I wonder what the number of courses I would need to have in that game would be for me to feel like I could play this number of them for this amount of time and then put those on the shelf and play a different set of courses for a while. At a certain point, you'd have enough courses to play that you could always just be rotating through another set of them, and you could have almost an infinite amount of content there, or an infinite amount of fun, knowing that you could always go back and play things that you haven't played for a while. I feel like there's a certain number of courses that need to be there to achieve that, and the 2 is definitely not enough as it currently stands. What do you think would be the number? How many courses would you like to see in that game, given your druthers?
At least at the outset, like 8 or 10, I feel like would be a good start. But I feel like for a game, especially that's free to play, it needs a couple more for like a full-blown release, but at least 8 to 10 would be a desirable starter. Especially some that sort of vary in difficulty, because I feel like that's another problem with the current maps that are in the game at this moment.
Mm-hmm.
It's sort of weird because the 2 courses that they do have, one is relatively easy except up to the end where it gets a little bit more complex, but then they have another course, and VT can attest to this, that is quite difficult. It is like a desert-themed course that is rather difficult across the board.
The difficulty curve between that first forest course and the desert course is like night and day. They need some more courses that kind of are in the spectrum of difficulty between those 2 to kind of fill things out. And maybe that was their thinking, right? Was like, let's do the basic one and then let's do the most crazy one and then we'll fill in the rest later. But it's just kind of weird that right now you only have something that's going to be a little too easy for most experienced players, or something that's like insanely difficult, or like the 2 kind of extremes that you have right now in the game. And also, to clarify, not a free-to-play game, but an early access game. Because that game actually is, I want to say, $5 on early access right now, and I don't believe that they're going with a free-to-play model for that one. I think that's going to be a pay-it-and-you-own-it kind of deal.
Thank you for that. The thing is, like, I knew it was a low amount of money, so it sort of just, I guess, slipped that I even paid anything for it, because like $5 is really reasonable, especially for the experience that you can have. Because if you have a bunch of people, especially if they don't play golf, like that is a really fun time, especially for the amount of money that you're going to invest for that good time.
Yeah. And especially once they get a satisfactory number of courses into that game, I think that it's going to be a really easy one to recommend. I look forward to when that's a feature-complete game out of early access, because I think that'll be a go-to one that'll be easy to recommend to a lot of people. I survived.
Hooray!
It's funny because I went out of my way to avoid the hills where you have to roll the 2 dice twice now, and both times it's led to something even worse.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah, I should have just bit the bullet and gone to it the first time. I think that's another thing about Talisman that comes up quite frequently, or like you have to make these choices where it's like, do you suffer a little bit now in the hopes of avoiding future suffering, or do you try to avoid suffering and just end up in a worse situation?
Because there's no middle ground whatsoever. It's one or the other.
Yeah, this game, it definitely is one of those ones where you have to really catch yourself and stop and think about what you're doing, because it's really easy to get stuck in a loop in this game where you just keep doing the same thing or keep repeating the same stuff over and over again and just get yourself into trouble. It's so easy to do that in this game.
Especially when things aren't going your way and you keep like maybe hitting the temple up in hopes that it's going to give you some relief or something along those lines, but you can never really find it.
Mm-hmm. You definitely have to be willing to change your strategy and adapt to the circumstances of the game, because one of the worst things you can do in this game is to be so committed to a particular strategy that you're trying to employ that you miss opportunities to do something else that would have actually been more beneficial. You really have to almost play this game moment to moment and go based off of that. And be willing to adapt as circumstances change.
Oh yeah, you cannot anticipate anything in this game, or else it could really mess you up.
You can have hope, or you can have a desire to do something, or a plan about something you might want to do, but you have to be willing to accept it if things aren't going your way and you need to change them up.
Alright, the crypt is the strength path. Okay. Just want to make sure, and I think if I do math correctly.
You're good.
Yay! Just want to make sure. I do math good. Hooray!
IR good math.
Math IRL life good. Good school English you learn.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, take
Or
that,
does it learn
helmet.
you? Poor helmet. Never stood a chance.
That's why I never keep that thing. It sucks.
It sucks.
Gets crushed by boulders just like that. Didn't even put up a fight.
Nah. Alright, I'm trying to remember how to do this. So roll 2 dice for yourself.
So you have to decide based on this first roll whether or not you want to re-roll before you see what the devil is going to roll, or death is going to roll.
Well, I think I'm going to try and... Alright, that's good. I'll take that.
Yeah, so as long as he doesn't do... Oh, that.
Oh, man. What is that? What is that?
It's pretty rough right there.
I thought 8. 8 was pretty good. I mean, I feel okay.
I mean, 8 was pretty legit. I'd probably stood pat on 8 myself.
Or, like, I wasted a fate point to get it up to 8. Because, like, the one roll was a 4 and the other was a 1. But I'm like, well, let me try and go 8. Or let me see what it's going to give me. And so I had 8. So I thought, I'm like, that's a decent number. But, of course, they had to... one of those were 6. And it's like, not good from there.
Alright, we'll go with that.
Three cards to rule them all. 8 again. All right, game. 9. Are you
Wow.
kidding me?
That's not good.
Ah.
I mean, it's awesome for me, but not so good for you.
Oh man, what are you doing to me, game? I'm gonna try it one more time.
Yeah, you're gonna have to retreat if you
If I fail again.
Yeah.
Because I can retreat if I fail one more time. Oh.
Oop, unlike her. Yeah, it was funny. The AI was kind of killing it there for a little while, but then just sort of continued to lose it. Kind of went on a downward spiral.
I don't think that was the AI's fault though. She was just getting a lot of really bad luck.
Mm-hmm.
Like her draws weren't nearly as good, her encounters and her rolls weren't nearly as fortuitous in her favor. So I think it was more so the game just being the game than the AI being incompetent.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Oh, that was a mistake.
You can use your luck stone to prevent fate loss.
I don't know if that's gonna work for her. Like, I think I'm still gonna lose it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, you're a frog.
This is not good. It's definitely not good. I think you may have this
either
one.
of us.
I think you may have this in the bag if you can get past death here.
There we go. 8.
8. Just a different kind of 8.
Oh, thank you. I've defeated death.